our city council's goal is to deliver all city services equitably, right? And so when you have individuals in the community that, again, are unemployed or underemployed, are returning citizens, you want to have a component or some element in the organization that actually reaches those individuals as well. And so we noticed, I should say we identified in the city of Evanston that there was some gap there. And so the city of Evanston wanted to do its due diligence to bridge that gap.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Nathan Norman. He's the manager of workforce development at the City of Evanston. Nathan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you. It's truly an honor, and I look forward to it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you a little bit more. So Nathan, why don't you start and tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, again, my name is Nathan Norman. I manage workforce development for the City of Evanston. I've been with the city now for over a decade. I started out as the City of Evanston's first youth and young adult outreach worker, where I worked to link youth and young adults in the community to resources. And from there, I went on to manage the Mayor's Summer Youth Employment Program. And now here I am, building another plane while I'm flying it, as I like to say, building out workforce development initiatives for the City of Evanston.
That's great. So why don't you tell me a little bit more about the workforce development?
Oh, absolutely. And so the City of Evanston never had a role specific to workforce development until 2020. During this time, I've been working with local stakeholders, social services agencies, just really connecting those agencies with job seekers. That consists of individuals in the Evanston community that are either unemployed, underemployed, or those seeking to upscale in the workforce. And last but certainly not least, all communities have individuals who were impacted by the carceral system and are rejoining the community. And so we also work with those individuals to help link them to not only employment opportunities, but just neighborhood resources.
Yeah. And why do you think the work that, the workforce development, can I call it a unit?
Yes.
Unit? Oh, perfect. Okay. So what do you think, the importance behind the units, the workforce development units mission is so important to the City of Evanston?
Well, one is our city council's goal is to deliver all city services equitably, right? And so when you have individuals in the community that, again, are unemployed or underemployed, are returning citizens, you want to have a component or some element in the organization that actually reaches those individuals as well. And so we noticed, I should say we identified in the City of Evanston that there was some gap there. And so the City of Evanston wanted to do its due diligence to bridge that gap. So I truly commend our city council, our city manager, the director of the Health and Human Services Department for identifying that and making sure that we were able to manage this effectively.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And it sounds like, you've been with the City of Evanston for 10 years. So talk to me a little bit about how you've seen, not only the City of Evanston grow, change, and kind of, evolve, but also too, your program with the workforce development.
Well, absolutely. And so, when I first got with the city a decade ago, we had, as I told you before, I managed the Mayor's Summer Youth Employment Program. And when I started there, we had maybe 150 jobs, maybe or annually, maybe around 300 youth in the community even show interest in the program. And then from there, again, we only have 150 positions. We were able to scale that to where we had participation of almost 1,000 students per year, but then we were able to provide upwards of 635 jobs almost on an annual basis. So I've seen the work that I've been a part of in particular really scale over the time that I've been with the City of Evanston. And not just that, the workforce development, the Mayor's Summer Youth Employment Program, all of these initiatives have been effective in curbing neighborhood violence and keeping the community safe.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, you raise a really good point about protecting, working with the community, building, internal skills. It sounds like with some of these people who are looking, active job seekers. So talk to me a little bit about, the initiatives like you said that the City of Evanston offers. You talked about like a little bit more about the workforce development programs. Is there training? Like talk to me a little bit about more about how you're able to encourage those employment skills.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that question. So yes, so aside from the plethora of community partners we have internal apprenticeship opportunities. For example, we have one in the waters department, we have one in the streets department, and the new initiative that we're working on now is the lead pipe replacement program, right? So that act was passed down by the Biden administration. And so communities across the nation, across America, are working to switch out those old pipes for those old lead pipes to change those, right? And so our city is committed to doing that. And we have hired Evanston residents to take on these jobs, right? And so we're able to do that through apprenticeship opportunities within the city of Evanston. So I know that's one way we're putting Evanston residents to work. We're cultivating their skills, right? And helping them to become more marketable once that training is complete. And then we also have a water apprenticeship opportunity, and these are called workforce development positions, right?
Mhm.
So any resident can apply for these entry-level opportunities to receive skills and trainings and also credential attainment along the way as they work to increase their skill sets.
Hmm. Is being a resident of Evanston one of the only qualifications to work with the workforce development program?
So great question. You have really great question. So yes, that is one of them, but you must be 18 years and older, be an Evanston resident, and just have a desire to learn and be successful.
Wow, that's really great. And I imagine too, that builds such a sense of pride for the community, being able to give back to the community, being a resident, being able to give back and, provide services to better the community.
Absolutely. Not only just sense of pride and being able to give back, but research has shown that when you have youth and young adults engaged, working, doing things that are productive, you have an overall safer community.
Mhm, mhm. And I imagine too, part of the work that, the workforce development team does, I have my master's in social work. I think I mentioned that to you. So kind of thinking about, a holistic view, I imagine a lot of the work that you do too is also even outside of, workforce development, and connecting jobs. I imagine too, it's a lot of connecting to resources and kind of building relationships with external partners, like you said. Is that true?
Absolutely. Collaborative governance is the best way to govern in my personal opinion. And building out, one of the first things I did, I should say, let me rewind, is to make sure that I had buy-in from a network of partners, right? Because just one path isn't the correct way. Everybody doesn't want to go into healthcare. Everyone doesn't want to go into manufacturing. Everyone doesn't want to go into building trades. So it's good to have a network of opportunities, right, for individuals to go into early childcare, IT, STEM. So it's good to have these partnerships so that we can help funnel individuals into true career paths and also career paths that they're interested in, right?
Mhm.
It's not saying, hey, here's a job and if you want it, you take it, not like that, but actually introducing them into conducive opportunities that work well with their interests.
Yeah. Do you think one of the biggest challenges is that accessibility to entry level positions, maybe in different fields that people may not be interested in, or maybe people who necessarily don't have any job experience who are looking to expand and to enter the job market?
Well, it's two-pronged, right? So I think that, yes, that's one. But another thing that I found is that a lot of individuals just do not know how to navigate certain resources. They know that the resources exist, but they don't know how to necessarily navigate the resources. For example, so everybody doesn't have a computer in their home, right? Everyone doesn't, know how to navigate Excel, Word, and, et cetera. Or just Google Chrome and different things like that. So to actually have a person to help you navigate is really, really integral. And I'll go back to your previous question. You said you must do a lot more than just outside of the scope of workforce development. Absolutely. So we have, the wraparound services we provide because people need help navigating. But also we have community partners that specialize in workplace comportment, resume skills, building resumes, and helping to job readiness training and all those soft skills that individuals need before entering the workforce.
Yeah. Wow. So, I can imagine it may be difficult for people entering, like you said, not having that accessibility. Talk to me about some of the other, offerings, services, and, I guess training that the workforce development is able to provide, to be able to encourage kind of that staying in the workforce, and continuing the path that they're on.
Absolutely. So absolutely. So one of those things is we are building out a new apprenticeship opportunity in fleet and facility maintenance, right? So we want to help individuals get a CDL if you want to obtain a CDL. We want to help you get your OSHA certification or construction certification. So you leave the apprenticeship opportunity better than you started, right? Than when you came in. And then also full-time employment is always the goal. As a city of Evanston, we want to put our money where our mouth is, right? We want our words and our deeds to correlate. And so before we just ask other agencies in the community to, provide training and then full-time employment, we wanted to make sure that we were doing that, taking those same steps ourselves. So that's one of the things that we're focusing on also, is just making sure that we're cultivating a pipeline into the city of Evanston as well. And then lastly, I'll say is, even if an individual may not be a good fit, or they may lose interest after the apprenticeship, they still have, because of those wraparound services, they have a well-built resume. They have job training that they've obtained. They've obtained more skills and knowledge of certain expertise, and then they're able to take that and then be more marketable to, enter the workforce somewhere else. If not.
Yeah. And I think that's really important, those wraparound services, because like you said, for someone who may be entering the workforce, it may be a big of adjustment kind of navigating the new world of maybe working in an office or working a 9 to 5 or an 8 to 4, what have you. Kind of navigating that is, I imagine, is very crucial. So do you hear a lot of common misconceptions or things that people think to be true that are not necessarily true about, re-entering the workforce? Is it accessibility? Talk to me a little bit about, common misconceptions that you often hear.
Well, one of those is, because of, COVID, unfortunate circumstances surrounding COVID, for a while we had, the biggest thing I've always heard was the people were receiving the benefits of what is it, the unemployment benefits. So
the stimulus checks.
Yeah, so I don't have to work, or I'm not, I don't want to do any job that isn't remote, or different things like that. And so I know that that's been talked about, a lot. And so, but one thing I will say is that one thing I did learn from COVID is that it does make job seekers a lot more cognizant of what positions that they want to, choose. And a lot of employers like McDonald's, for instance, they have tuition reimbursement. They pay a living wage. They offer flexible hours, and so that really incentivizes individuals to want to work somewhere like that. So you just can't offer individuals $15 an hour and think, because we're meeting the minimum wage requirement, that's going to fly, because you have other organizations, other businesses out here that are offering competitive wages with benefits. So those are some of the things that I've been hearing of.
So it sounds like a lot of the work that you do is education, like educating on, different opportunities, different things like that. Am I right in assuming that?
You are. So the workforce development, our workforce initiatives are sewn together. I see the division as a catalyst, right? And so in our division, you have a manager, you have a program coordinator, you have a career development coordinator, and you also have a career navigator position. So me and my team, we see the workforce division as a catalyst, right? Because we have job seekers on one end, then we have employers on the other end. And so they come to the city saying, hey, we're looking for people to fill X, Y, and Z position. Then we have job seekers with a wide range of different skill sets. And then we try to mesh the two best that we can. And then in the midst of that, as you and I were just discussing, we provide wraparound services as they go through these different positions, whether that's just employment or training or what have you.
Yeah. Yeah. So if
it's
someone
complex.
wanted, what was that?
I said, so it's complex. Like you said,
Yeah.
you have various things, education, the workforce, it's training, it's
Mhm.
all meshed in one.
Yeah, yeah. So if someone wanted to learn more or maybe apply to be a part of the workforce development unit, where would they go to learn more information?
2 places. They could go to workforce development at cityofevanston.org, or they could also call 448-4311, and that's the City of Evanston, and they could ask to speak with the Workforce Development Department.
Fantastic. Awesome. Great. Well, Nathan, as you and I start to wrap up this conversation, is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with, either about the City of Evanston, about the workforce development, or anything in general?
Absolutely. One of the things I would like to say is that the City of Evanston, in this inaugural effort to amplify workforce development initiatives in Evanston, I want them to know that they have a division that is not only capable, but committed and passionate about connecting our residents to valuable resources that will impact their lives in a positive way. And so we don't want to just put you in a job or different things like that, but what we really want to do is explore career opportunities that advances the public's interest, right? We want to collaborate with our residents on their success. So I would like individuals to know that, and that they can reach us at any time, and we will get back with them promptly. So I would like to let that be known.
That's
you.
fantastic. Awesome. Well, Nathan, this has been a great conversation about the City of Evanston, about workforce development, all the different initiatives and education, and the wraparound services that your team is able to offer, the city. And I'm sure that the residents, are very, very thankful for the work that you do. And I appreciate you being on Business Ninjas today.
Always. Thank you so much, Business Ninjas. We appreciate being here with you all. Peace and love.